I'm Dave, and welcome to the Trull Gallery. Today, we're going to see if we can get clean cuts on imported plywood. About 30 years ago, I was introduced to Baltic birch plywood. It's stable, has no voids, and a thick outer veneer. Great to work with. The problem is, the price of Baltic birch over the last couple of years has more than doubled. I still use it when I can justify it, but for a lot of my pieces, I have to go with an imported birch plywood. This stuff has voids galore, tends to delaminate, and the surface veneer is super thin. And with all those things put together, when you do a cross cut on this stuff, it chips out, and sometimes pretty badly. Let's see if we can find a way to get usable cuts with this less than stellar product.
Cutting plywood with a sliding compound miter saw should be pretty basic. Bring your blade out, start the saw, plunge into your cut, and then push back towards the fence. Well, in theory. If you're working with imported plywood, the underside of the cut will come out fairly clean, but the top face can get pretty ragged. There are two ways to get better results. The first is by starting your blade with the saw all the way in towards the fence, and then take a light scoring cut as you pull the blade towards you. This severs the top layer, preventing blowout once you plunge down to complete the cut as usual. It might not give you a perfect cut, but it's much cleaner than before. The second option is to add a layer of blue tape along your cut line. Now you can score the cut and plunge as before. This extra step will ensure that you get as clean a cut as possible. When using a table saw, you're more likely to get a clean cut on the top surface, but the bottom face can cause you issues. While ripping with the grain tends to be pain-free, cross-cutting can be a nuisance. Here I'm building some drawers for a client, and I want them to be as nice as possible. I taped them at the miter saw when I cut them to size, but now I have to add some rabbets. And if you think a plywood blade can leave things rough, look what a dado set can do. Once again, it's blue tape to the rescue. By adding a piece of tape along the rabbet, the cuts come out much cleaner. The thickness of the tape may affect your joinery, so either take that into consideration when setting your depth, or, like I did, make the first pass with the tape in place, remove the tape, and take a cleanup pass. The top fibers have already been cut away, and you're just tweaking the depth. I thought I'd show you what things look like after a little sanding. The surface veneer is incredibly thin, so you have to take care not to blow through. I typically sand this stuff once using 150 grit paper on my random orbit sander. On the cuts that have been taped, I'm left with an edge that I can live with. On the cuts that were not taped, well, those would involve putty, paint, and possibly a dark room to hide these tear-outs.
While blue tape isn't that cheap, it's less expensive than good plywood. I spent so much time on my last couple of projects fixing tear-out that I had to find a better way. And I think this is a pretty good compromise. And these tips aren't just for cheap plywood. They'll also work great to keep your good plywood nice and clean, as well as hardwoods that are prone to tear out. Now, if I could just figure out how to get the world back in order so I could go back to using Baltic birch full time. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this video. What techniques do you have for cross-cutting plywood for those clean edges? Drop them in the comments below. We'd love to hear them. And if you enjoyed this video, maybe give us a thumbs up and share it with your friends. And if you haven't already, maybe hit that subscribe button and the little bell so you get notified each time I put out a new video. Not sure what's coming up next, but it's bound to be fairly interesting. And with that said, have a great day. We'll see you soon. Take care.